the risk of COVID-19 is real, no question. So I hope Malaysians will trust the system and get themselves vaccinated.
The COVID-19 vaccine, there are some people who just can't wait to get it, while there are others who prefer to wait and see first lah. But no matter where you stand on the issue, I'm pretty sure most of us have questions, especially regarding safety. And here to provide more insight on the matter is Malaysia's very own infectious disease specialist, Datuk Dr Christopher Lee.
So I think vaccines are definitely a big part of the end game of COVID-19. I hope that is the case. I hope it's the end game, that we can actually go back to some form of normalcy. But it will take this year, maybe even going to next year.
Okay, first things first, will you be taking the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yes, I would be. When it's my time, if I'm offered to me, I would take the vaccine. I've seen enough patients who fall ill, and I'm getting, in terms of age, I'm getting there as well. I will try to make sure my mom gets the vaccine though, first, because she's 90 years old. That's important.
Can we trust a vaccine that's been developed in such a short time? Did the vaccine makers cut any corners?
Yes, it's record time. This is unprecedented. This is the fastest we have ever come up with a new vaccine. However, I think you must understand that the platform that the vaccine makers have was already there. For example, the messenger RNA technology was already there. Just that once we could identify the complete genome of this virus, they just cut pieces of it and put it into this platform to make the vaccine. So in that sense, they shortened the process. There were also some administrative areas where the manufacturers and the regulators shortened. But in terms of the clinical process or the scientific process, nothing was shortened.
Okay, but are these vaccines safe though? Or are we just guinea pigs?
It is a newer technology, so I can understand why people are concerned. But well, the reality is, by the time Malaysians get the vaccine, there will be millions of people around the world who have had the vaccine. And there's ongoing surveillance of side effects and things like that. So whatever data we have now, 1 month from now, we will have more data in terms of side effects. Many people will have looked at it. And of course, our own Malaysian NPRA will also be looking at it. I'm sure they're looking at it now. But so far, the short-term data looks safe.
What side effects can we expect after taking the vaccine?
Many people have this sore arm, this tenderness around the injection site for a couple of days. They might even have low-grade fever for a day or two. That is probably the most common side effects, if you have any side effects at all. However, the only more worrying side effects are occurring in people who have previous allergies. However, these have been very rare, not many people. So now the recommendation is we should be more careful among people who have history of allergies.
What about long-term side effects? There are some reports that say people have died or suffered from serious conditions shortly after taking the vaccine.
Now, one thing I must be frank, when we give large amounts of vaccines to a large number of people at around the same time, there will be some people who may have events, medical events, that may not be related to the vaccine. And that has happened before, all right? So therefore, before we react, I think we must trust pharmacovigilance program to look into it. No one can tell you 5 years, 10 years down the line, nothing bad will happen. But I think we have to balance the risk-benefit of it all. The risk of COVID-19 is real. We do see patients who are very ill and they are struggling. Right? Many of them are still needing oxygen support and things like that for weeks after the COVID has gone away. And some of the elderly, they really struggle with that. And the families really struggle with that. I think you have to balance the pros and cons. And sometimes, if I have to vaccinate myself, it's also to protect my mother who's in the 90s.
So how many people do we have to vaccinate to ensure our community is safe from COVID-19?
Well, the herd immunity is not a clear-cut answer, does not have a clear-cut answer. But most experts will say something between 70-75% of the population, if they are have immunity.
Malaysia is purchasing vaccines from various countries, mainly due to financial restraints. We have some from US, UK, China, and even Russia. Do you think this is a good thing?
So is it a good thing? I think it's a practical approach. If we want to wait until the cheapest vaccines come along, we may have to wait for a very, 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 very long time. and more Malaysians' life may be lost, or more Malaysians will end up in ICU. Every single vaccine, whether it's Sputnik or whether it's from China or even the Indian vaccine, if they finally can sell to us, goes through a lot of scrutiny. Will all the vaccines work equally well? Will there be a problem in one particular vaccine going forward? That is something we cannot predict. That's why we have this pharmacovigilance. That's why we have to monitor. Even as we give the vaccine, we continue to monitor. I think that system that we have in place should be reassuring for Malaysians.
What's your biggest concern regarding the COVID-19 vaccine?
We have never tried to vaccinate so many numbers of older patients at the same time ever in Malaysia. Now, my concern would be like H1N1. When H1N1 first blew up, everybody wanted the vaccine. People were scared. But once H1N1 began to settle and the number of deaths seemed to stabilize or drop, our uptake of the flu vaccine hasn't been great. We don't have a strong link with adult vaccination. So that's a bit of my concern when we try to roll out the COVID-19 vaccine. It doesn't mean we won't succeed, but we have never done it successfully in this country before. The closest I can think of is the H1N1 vaccine. So I hope Malaysians will trust the system and get themselves vaccinated when the vaccine comes in and when our time is ready for us to take the vaccine.